So let's take a scenario. You want to replace the trim around the window. It's going to be miter joints. And to keep things clean in the house, you're going to do all the cutting of the wood outside in your unheated shed. It's minus 5 degrees Celsius. And the house is nice and warm working, and it's about, say 25 degrees Celsius. So there's a difference of 30 degrees there. You have a tape measure out in the shed, which is the same temperature as out in the garage or the shed, unheated garage. And you've got another one that you got in the house. So you measure the window for the width for the first cut. You leave your measuring tape there. You go out to take your piece of wood that's nice and climatized into the house, out to the workshop. You take the measuring tape that's at the 5 degrees, measure that, cut it on your miter saw, come back out into the house. Do the same thing with the next piece of wood. Will that miter gap close? Will it be a nice tight, or will it be off? Will it be too long, too short? So I did an experiment. What I did, I took a measuring tape, an old one that I had, so it didn't matter if it got damaged. Took the first measurement in my workshop, which is down in the basement. It's 57 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 14 degrees Celsius. I did another where I took the tape measure, put it on the edge of my wood stove, let it heat there for about 20 minutes, half an hour. Got up to about 86 Fahrenheit, 30 degrees Celsius. And then finally, I took the tape measure, put it in a plastic bag, put it out in the snow. We had snow that night, and left it overnight. And the next morning, tape measure was 2 degrees Celsius, or about 28 degrees Fahrenheit. And each time that I did that, I measured, and I took measurements at 2 foot, 4 foot, 6 foot, and 8 lengths, and marked them, and to see if there was any difference. Come along and I'll show you this. I was a little surprised of what I found, and you'll see that it does make a difference. So as I said, I took the tape measure at the 3 different temperatures each time along this board, and made little marks at every 2, 4, 6, 8 feet. And as I said, 105, 58, and another one was at -7. One of the interesting things that I found is that this might have been 105 degrees, but I used this infrared temperature sensor to measure the temperature of. I'd go upstairs, for example, leaving this in the wood stove, have that temperature, lay out the tape measure. By the time I get to the other end, it had dropped significantly down to around 80 degrees. I found in this case I was at 80, started at 80, it's down at 60 degrees, 66 degrees Fahrenheit. I found that this steel tape acted very similar to the fin that you get on a radiator or on a air conditioner or something. It just wicks away any energy that's in it, any heat. But regardless of that, so after I made all the measurements on the wood, I took this square, the ends were squared off on the wood. Using this square, I measured from the highest temperature and the lowest temperature, and I drew out these lines. As you can see if I can focus this. This is one here. That temperature started out at 80 some degrees up above. It's down at around 70 starting out, just in the matter of like about 2-3 minutes. But what more importantly, even at that, you can see this gap here, which is a little less than 1/16 of an inch. As I come down here, where it stretched out to 8 feet, I did the same thing, drawing across from the coldest to the hottest temperature. Actually is a bit over 1/16 of an inch. If you're wondering about 1/16 of an inch, the tab on the end of your measuring tape, that's how thick it is equal to a 1/16 of an inch. Not very much, but see that gap? That's a 1/16 of an inch as well. And you can see that fairly clearly. Would you want to pass in furniture that you're doing a commission on, leaving that kind of gap? Would you want to do a miter on a window trim that leaves that kind of gap? I don't think so. I admit that's not very scientific, just two little tests here on my own. But at the same time, the results are consistent between the tape measures and regardless of the temperature. You can want to get more empirical, use some very sophisticated measurements to see exactly how much. There's lots of calculations there on YouTube and in surveying books, and talk to a surveyor. They'll tell you how to calculate for the difference in temperature changes on a steel ruler. Or actually, you could probably contact the companies themselves. They'll tell you, because there are coefficients and temperature conversions, and it's quite simple to do the mathematics if you really want to. But for most makers, it doesn't make a difference. All I'm saying is you need to be aware of this, or you should be aware of this if you're a maker doing fine precision furniture maker, trim, those types of things. Anyway, I just did this for fun. Hopefully share this information with you. If you enjoyed it, thanks. Give it a thumbs up. Share it to your other makers as well. And subscribe would be great. Anyway, this is Don. Until the next one, take care.